Hey everybody. Have you ever missed that important shot during the game of the season? What about being ignored by your best friend? Or getting detention? Or getting embarrassed in front of your crush? I can't decide which of those scenarios could possibly ever be the worst. So what does that have to do with what we're talking about today? Well, if I think about it and we talk about this honestly, I think this is a topic that most of us feel like is the worst topic we could be talking about together, and for many of us at church, and that topic is sex and relationships. And we're gonna have some real talk about some real things when it comes to sexual stuff. Now you're probably thinking, wait a minute, is it okay to be talking about sex and relationships at church? That sounds like it's gonna be really super awkward. Well, sometimes it might be, but here at Hilltop Youth, we really truly believe that this is the place that you should be talking about the most important things that are happening and will be happening and could be happening someday in your life. And that's here, again, at church or Hilltop Youth. We really want to be able to talk about anything here, and that includes sex and relationships. So even if this feels a little awkward sometimes, these are some really important topics that we're going to be diving into, and these are some things that we want to have some real conversations together with you. And today I want to talk about something that could have a really big impact on the way you see both sex and relationships, and that is pornography. But before we jump into this topic, I want you guys to know that this is a safe space. There's no question that's too embarrassing to ask. There's no conversation that is off limits. And second, I really think it's important that we're on the same page when it comes to talking about such a subject like pornography. Because chances are there's a lot of different things that may come to your mind when we're talking about this subject. So for all intents and purposes, pornography is any pictures, videos, or written material that shows or describes sex, sexual acts, or naked bodies in ways meant for sexual enjoyment. This could include things like pictures you find online, movies or TV shows, books, notes, or DMs that are sexual, or nude photos you send or receive. And this may not be true for you, but some people see pornography for the first time when they are in middle school or even younger. Some teens are searching for pornography for at least once a month. And a lot of teenagers are sending and receiving pictures and videos on a regular basis. They're looking at pornography pretty often, even if nobody else knows it. And because of that, it's such an important topic to be talking about here at church. Here's the thing. Pornography is a big deal, whether you're totally freaked out, a little curious, or already involved with it. Pornography is something that's gonna come up in your life in one way or another. It's something that can impact sex and relationships in your own life. And that's why we need to talk about this in a real way together, even if it feels kind of awkward and uncomfortable. See, pornography has the potential to change the way that you see sex and relationships. It can cause you to start keeping secrets from those people most important in your life. It can change what you think sexual things should be like. It can cause a lot of anxiety and doubt if the person you're dating is looking at those things quite often. Or it can put pressure on you to do something or try something or look at something that you're really just not comfortable with. In other words, when it comes to sex and relationships, pornography can make things seem more normal than they really are. It gives us this unrealistic view about how sex and relationships should be. And it can lead us to sexual situations that aren't healthy, respectful, or honoring towards ourselves or that other person. The point of this conversation is to get to the truth of sex and relationships, and we want to help you know not just what's best for you, but also what honors other people. Remember, we're here to have real talk about sex and relationships, and that means we have to see things like pornography for what it is, something that can hold you back from God's best for you. And we really want you to experience all the best that God has for all areas of your life. So thousands of years ago, a dude named Paul was one of the leaders in spreading the message of Jesus. And Paul was the master of real talk. He wasn't afraid to get real about what it meant to follow Jesus, but in certain places Paul went, that message was not always welcome in their midst. Eventually, though, Paul actually ended up in prison because of his faith. And that's actually where he went when he wrote the letter we're going to be looking at today. See, even though Paul was in prison, he wanted to encourage other people who believed in and followed Jesus to live in the way that God called them to live. Paul knew that knowing Jesus changes everything. And so he wanted to do whatever he could from wherever he was to make sure Christians could know Jesus and follow his teaching. And in his letter to the people in a town called Ephesus, Paul gave them, and us, a way to think about the decisions we make in the lives that we live. So let's take a look. Ephesians 5:15, be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as wise. So right away, we get this new way to think about how we live. It's a question to ask about every choice we make. Is it wise or is it unwise? See, we often think about decisions in a really simple way. If it's either right or if it's either wrong. If it's right, then it's good. And if it's wrong, well, then it's just definitely not. Now, I don't know about you guys, but trying to figure out if everything I do is right or wrong, it can get exhausting sometimes. Is it right to watch this show? Is it wrong to listen to this song? Is it right to date that person? Is it wrong to want to hold their hand? It's really just impossible to figure out. That's why I think Paul gave us this new way to think about our choices. Wise or unwise. See, a wise person thinks about the choices they make before they make them. They use their judgment, knowledge, and experience to make the best choices that they can, both for themselves and for others. Wise people think not just about the now, but also about the future, because they know that their choices are going to take them somewhere. And they want to make sure the place that they're going in life is kind of where they want to be. But an unwise person, well, they make decisions without thinking about them all that much. They don't think about what their choices are going to be doing to themselves or to other people, right? Or the lives of those around them. They go down a path with no clear direction, and that eventually takes them somewhere that they don't even want to be. And here's what's true for all of us. Our choices take us somewhere. They lead us to other things. Think about it this way. You got some train tracks and you are the train. Train tracks are designed to get us to a very specific destination. There are tracks that lead to different directions. And depending on which track that the train takes, they can end up in all kinds of different places. And it's really literally the same thing for our choices. There are so many choices we can make, and our destination depends on which track we choose on the way. Unwise choices when it comes to pornography can lead you to places that you don't even want to be in. You can find yourself dealing with addiction, insecurity, bad relationships, secrets, and more. But wise choices, well, they can lead you to better things. They can lead you to becoming the kind of person that not only honors yourself, but honors the person you're in a relationship with too. They can help you experience God's best for your life. See, that's why it's important to have real talk about pornography, so that we can help each other understand what's wise and encourage each other to choose it for our lives. But here's the deal. I get that this isn't easy. I understand that it's a lot for you. This almost feels really impossible. Maybe that's because you're already embroiled in pornography already. The thought of being able to stop and make a wise decision really feels impossible to you. And trust me, I was once there at one time. You might feel like you made a decision that took you to a destination that you don't want to even be in, and you don't know how to get out of that space. Again, I was once addicted to porn too at one time in my early 20s. So I get it. I totally understand it. I also understand, though, that most things we hear about sex and relationships tells us that pornography is a totally normal part of it, that everybody sees it, that it's not a big deal, that there's really no way out. But here's what Paul said. The temptations in your life are no different from what others experience, and God is faithful. He will not allow the temptation to be more than you can stand. When you are tempted, He will show you a way out so that you can endure. See, we're always going to be tempted. Every single one of us is going to struggle with making unwise choices over and over and over again. But when we find ourselves in that place, when we can remember that there is a way out, we can stop this train, we can back it up, and we can choose a different path. We can choose a different track to find a way out. And that way out is with God, because God is with you. God isn't mad at you. God hasn't left you to figure it out on your own, guys. God will show you the steps to take to get out of it. And God will go with you as you choose to do what's wise. Remember, it's important to have real talk about pornography, and that's actually where I want us to start today. First, talk about it. Think of just one person in your life that you can have real talk about pornography with. A trusted adult like your small group leader, a parent or guardian that you can turn to with questions, confusions, curiosities, and more. Someone you can open up to and ask for help when you're struggling. Someone who's gonna help you think about and choose what's wise for you when it comes to sex and relationships. Then, think about what's wise for you. Instead of thinking about right and wrong, think about what's wise. Are those DMs, those pictures, that movie, those words leading you toward God's best for your life? Are they honoring to you and the person on the other end of them? Are they changing the way you see or interact with other people? Are they confusing you? Are they creating a need to see more? Ask yourselves these questions and think about if it's wise for you to keep doing these things. And if it isn't, then take one step towards a way out. Sometimes that means praying. Sometimes it means talking to a counselor or a small group leader or a parent for help. Sometimes it means setting boundaries so you can make better choices. Sometimes it means changing a relationship or a habit. No matter what step you take with God's help and with the help of adults who care about you, there's always a way out. And finally, I want you to know that it's okay if you feel uncomfortable about pornography. Maybe you feel awkward when it comes up in conversation, or you really like someone who looks at it a lot. Or maybe you have a friend or sibling that shows you things that you didn't want to see in the first place. If that's you, it's totally okay to feel uncomfortable about these things. It's okay to speak up and just say no. It's okay that you don't want to see these pictures, that you don't want to watch that movie, or do something with your boyfriend or girlfriend you just don't want to do. If you find yourself struggling to speak up about something that you're not okay with, you need to go to that trusted adult in your life to talk about it. Let that be your very first step towards what's wise for you today. See, it's important to have real talk about pornography because we want to help you choose what's wise. We want to help you find the truth about sex and relationships. And we want you to do that in a way that is healthy and honoring to you and to the people around you. So as you head into small group today, will you consider opening up to your small group leader about your questions and your concerns and your struggles? Your small group leader and your small group is a safe space for you to open up about difficult subjects in your life with an adult you can trust to help you, support you, and really just love you through it. And as you move into small group, I want you to think about this question. What's one way you can know something is wise for you?